Welcome to Mario's English channel. Today we are going on a very specific mission. We want to take you from being someone who just passively consumes English, listening to audio, watching movies, reading articles, to someone who actually speaks it.
Right, and the goal here is to cross that bridge without the crippling fear or the stress of needing to grab a dictionary every 5 seconds.
Exactly. It is a huge change to make. And we see this problem all the time, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. You have people who have spent years building up their passive skills. They can understand almost everything they hear. But the moment they have to open their mouths to make a sound, they just freeze.
Like a total traffic jam in the brain.
Yeah, total gridlock. And that's because speaking requires a completely different set of mental skills than just listening does.
It really does. So to help us navigate this, we are doing a deep dive into a method created by Mike and Lisa. They are from the English Speaking Express.
Yes, and they have built a really interesting system around something they call daily English speeches.
Now, I have to be honest here. When I first saw the word speech in the source material, I had a really strong reaction. I basically panicked.
You and everyone else. The word speech carries so much heavy baggage.
Right. I immediately pictured a stage, a bright spotlight, and a microphone. Just hundreds of people staring at me in total silence, waiting for me to mess up.
But as we dug into the material, we found out that isn't what they mean at all, is it?
Not even close.
And that difference is the most important takeaway right at the start of this deep dive. When Mike and Lisa talk about a speech, they're not talking about a TED Talk.
No, definitely not.
They aren't talking about a university lecture. They define a speech as a very short, controlled, 1 to 2 minute story about your own life.
So it's personal, and it's really small.
Highly personal. And the problem they're trying to solve is the biggest block for language learners. The fear.
Yeah, that terrible feeling when the nerves kick in.
Exactly. You want to speak, but you feel your vocabulary just shrinking. The harder you try to remember words. You are terrified you will start a sentence, get halfway through, and then just blank space.
And that silence is embarrassing.
It really is. And beginners often think the way to fix that fear is to learn bigger, harder words. They think, if I sound academic, I will sound good.
They want to hide the fact that they're beginners.
Right. But the source material we are looking at today flips that idea completely upside down. It argues that complex words are actually the enemy of speaking smoothly when you are just starting out.
That is such a huge light bulb moment for me. You don't need the complex words. You just need to keep moving. You need to get the words out.
Yes, velocity over complexity.
Mike and Lisa argue you only need 1 or 2 minutes, and this is the really crucial part. You need to talk about topics you already know perfectly.
Let's unpack the idea behind this short speech method. Why do they push for such a strict time limit? Like, why just 1 or 2 minutes?
Yeah, why not try for 5 minutes if you feel good?
It comes down to mental energy. Speaking a second language burns a lot of brain power. You are trying to manage grammar, remember words, check your pronunciation, and build sentences all at the exact same time.
That is a lot for the brain to handle.
It is. If you try to do that for 10 minutes as a beginner, your brain just gets tired. You start making mistakes, not because you don't know the rules, but because you are exhausted.
And when you get tired and make mistakes, you get frustrated. And when you get frustrated,
you just quit. It's a bad cycle. But a 1-minute speech, that is totally manageable. The source material highlights that by keeping it super short, you protect yourself from getting mentally overloaded.
You stay in the safe zone.
Exactly. You stay where you can actually control how well you are speaking. It is all about setting yourself up to win.
There's also a really cool psychological benefit mentioned in the notes. It's not just about the language. It's about feeling good.
The sense of finishing something. This is massive for building a daily habit.
Right, because when you finish a small speech every single day, you get to check a box. You think, wow, I did this. I spoke English today.
It builds your confidence. The source points out that this daily habit changes how you see yourself. You stop saying, I am a student, and you start saying, I am an English speaker.
I love that mental shift. It changes your focus from, I hope I don't make a mistake, to, I finished my goal for today. It makes a big, scary task look really small.
But we have to be very clear about the end goal here. The goal of these daily speeches is not to pass a big English test. The goal is to kill the nervousness.
Just to get comfortable.
Right. To become smooth at talking about really simple things. Mike makes a great point in the text. He says, if you can speak easily about your breakfast, you are building the brain power to eventually talk about politics or business later.
But you have to start with the toast and eggs.
You do. And doing it every day is obviously the key. The source put a huge focus on sticking to the routine. It is much easier to force yourself to do a 2-minute task than an hour-long task.
If the hurdle is very low, you will actually jump over it every day.
Exactly. So we understand why we do it. We are lowering the mental stress to build up confidence. Now let's talk about how to do it.
Okay. The first step in the system is choosing the right topic. And the advice here is actually surprisingly strict. Keep it familiar.
Yes, this is not the time to be creative. Do not choose hard subjects. Do not try to explain a movie plot or discuss world news.
The source material gives us a very specific list of topics, right? These are designed to stop you from stressing over what to say.
I have the list right here.
Uh,
Let's look at them, because they seem almost too basic at first, but there is a smart reason for that.
okay, what's first?
Number 1 is my morning routine.
Ah, classic. It happens in order, it's logical, and everyone has one.
Number 2 is my favorite food.
That is easy to describe. You know what a pizza tastes like. You don't need to look that up.
Number 3 is my hobby. Things like watching TV or listening to music.
Things you actually like doing, so you probably know some English words for them already.
Number 4 is my family. Usually just picking one parent or a sibling to describe. And finally, number 5 is my weekend plan.
So, if I look at all those topics, I don't have to do any research at all. I don't have to search the internet to figure out my favorite food. The story is already inside my head.
And that is the secret. You completely remove the stress of thinking, what do I say? Now you can put all your focus on, how do I say it in English?
That makes total sense. If you pick a new topic, you fight 2 battles at once. You fight to find the facts, and you fight to find the English words.
By picking my family or my morning routine, you skip the first battle. You know the facts, you just need the English labels for them.
So you give 100% of your brain power to the English part.
Exactly. So let's actually do a deep dive into the first example from the list. Let's see how this works in real life.
Okay, my morning routine. This is the example Mike and Lisa explain the most in the source. If I am a beginner, where do I even start? Do I write out a full script?
No scripts. You start with the building blocks, the vocabulary. But not all the vocabulary in the world, just the key action words, the verbs.
The text breaks us down into 5 basic keywords to build the skeleton of the speech. Let's list them. Number 1 is wake up.
Essential. You have to start the day.
Number 2 is brush teeth.
Number 3 is wash face.
Number 4 is eat breakfast. And number 5 is drink water.
So look at those words. Wake up, brush teeth, wash face, eat breakfast, drink water. What do you notice about them?
They are super basic. These are words I probably learned in my very first week of studying English.
They are, and that is exactly the point Mike is making. Every beginner already knows these words. You don't need to open a dictionary to find the word water.
The barrier to start is basically 0. You aren't hunting for new words. You are just picking up the ones you already own.
So now we have our blocks. We have the words. Next, we need to build a house. We need to make sentences. This is step 2, the mechanics.
And this is usually where people get really scared of grammar. They start stressing about past tense or future perfect tense.
But the source gives us a simple formula that makes it nearly impossible to mess up.
I really love a good formula. What is it?
It is simply subject plus verb plus time.
Subject, verb, time. Okay, let's try that with the first keyword, wake up.
The subject is I, because the speech is about you. The verb is wake up, and the time is, let's say, at 7 o'clock.
I wake up at 7 o'clock.
That is a perfect English sentence. It is totally correct, it has clear meaning, and it is very simple.
It almost feels too easy.
That is why it works. It gets you moving. Now, let's build the full speech from the source material. A list of sentences is not a speech yet. It needs to flow like a story.
Right. It needs to connect. Okay, I will be the language learner. I'll start with the first sentence. I wake up at 7 o'clock every morning.
Great. Now, the next action is brushing teeth. But if you just say, I brush my teeth, it sounds a bit like a robot. We want to connect it to the first sentence.
So the source says to use a simple connecting word like after.
Yes. Try.
After I wake up, I brush my teeth.
Perfect. You just made a sequence. Now washing your face. A good connecting word here is then.
Then I wash my face.
Now go back to the time formula for breakfast.
I eat breakfast at 7:30.
And finally, let's add one tiny detail about the food just to make it personal.
I drink a glass of milk for breakfast. It's delicious.
Think that what you just did, you just gave a full speech.
I really did, didn't I? Let me say the whole thing together. I wake up at 7 o'clock every morning. After I wake up, I brush my teeth. Then I wash my face. I eat breakfast at 7:30. I drink a glass of milk for breakfast. It's delicious.
That sounds completely natural. It sounds like a real person telling me about their morning. And it took you, what, maybe 30 seconds?
And there was no scary grammar, no difficult tenses, just simple facts glued together with basic words.
What I love most about this method is how flexible it is. It's basically a template. Let's say I don't wake up at 7 o'clock. I wake up at 6:30. And I don't drink milk. I eat bread.
That is the magic of it. You keep the exact same sentence shape, but you just swap out the facts.
Right. I just say, I wake up at 6:30. I eat bread for breakfast. The grammar stays exactly the same. It lets you tell your real story without having to build new sentences from scratch.
It is so empowering because it removes that feeling of, oh no, I don't know how to say this. You know how to say, I eat. You just change the food word.
Okay, so we have our topic. We built our sentences. Now comes the part where we actually have to do the work. Step 3 is practice and improvement.
This is the physical part. You can't learn to swim just by reading a book about the ocean. You have to jump in. And you can't learn to speak just by reading silently.
The source is very clear about this. It says you must read the sentences loudly.
Loudly is the magic word here. So many beginners practice by reading in their heads.
But speaking is a physical action. Your tongue, your lips, your jaw, they all have to move in brand new ways to create English sounds.
It is about muscle memory, right?
Exactly. The source calls it mouth muscle memory. If you only read quietly, your mouth never actually learns the physical shape of the English words.
You have to speak out loud, even if you are just sitting alone in your bedroom.
You need to get used to the feeling of English vibrating in your throat.
I know that feeling. It feels kind of silly to talk to the wall in an empty room.
It might feel weird, but every musician plays practice notes alone before a concert. This is your practice time.
Now, there is another step here that I think is super smart, but maybe a little bit scary for some people. The recording technique.
Oh, yes. Recording your own voice on your phone.
Why do we have to do this? Nobody likes listening to their own voice on a recording.
It is not a punishment. It is actually the best data you can get. When you are speaking, you can't really hear your own mistakes because your brain is too busy figuring out the next word.
But when you listen to the recording later, you become the audience.
Exactly. You become the teacher. You can hear if you were speaking clearly. You can catch your own pronunciation mistakes.
It is kind of like looking in a mirror to fix your hair. You can't fix it if you can't see it. Or hear it, in this case.
And the source says you should do this often. Practice 2 to 3 times a day.
That sounds like a lot. But wait, the speech is only 1 minute long. So doing it 3 times takes 3 minutes.
It is totally doable. You can do it while you wait for the bus.
And Mike and Lisa promise that even just 1 minute a day is enough to see real progress in a week. Doing a little bit every day is much better than studying for 3 hours once a week.
Even with these great tools, people still run into mental blocks. The fear tries to creep back in. So let's look at the Q&A section from the source to handle these fears.
The most common fear is, what if I forget the words?
I have forgotten words right in the middle of talking. It happens to native speakers all the time. But for a learner, it feels like a total failure.
The source has a great strategy for this, though.
It says to just stop for a second, take a breath, and then use a simple replacement word or just explain what you mean.
Like if I completely forget the word for toaster, I could just say, the machine that makes bread hot.
Yes, that is exactly what you should do. You still communicated the idea. That is actually a really high-level skill, being able to talk your way around a missing word.
And the text reminds us, no one is going to laugh at you. It is completely normal.
Another big trap is perfectionism. Beginners think they need perfect grammar before they are allowed to speak. They treat talking like a math test where every mistake loses points.
They want to sound exactly like their textbook.
But nobody speaks like a textbook. The source clearly says, do not be afraid of mistakes.
Because even native speakers mess up grammar when they talk fast.
We use the wrong words, we restart our sentences, we pause. The main goal is communication, not perfection. If I understand your story, you succeed.
And the grammar will naturally get better the more you speak anyway. There is one last mental block to talk about, and that is memorization.
Yes, this is a trap. Some people try to memorize their whole speech word for word, like an actor memorizing a movie script.
That is so stressful because if you forget one single word, the whole script falls apart.
And you sound like a robot. The source clarifies that you do not need to memorize the speech. You only need to remember the key action words.
Just remember, wake up and breakfast, and then build the simple sentences naturally in the moment.
It gives you freedom. If you decide you want to talk about drinking juice instead of milk today, you can. because you aren't forced to follow a memorized script.
All right, let's bring all of this together. We have covered a lot, but it really boils down to a very simple 3-step system.
Step 1. Choose a daily life topic. Something super easy that you already know. Morning routine or weekend plans? Don't try to explain the universe, just describe your morning.
Step 2. Make simple sentences. Use the formula subject plus verb, I wake up, I eat, and glue them together with words like after and then.
Step 3. Practice out loud. Move your mouth muscles. Record yourself on your phone to check your clarity.
And do it every single day, just for 1 minute. Now, we aren't just going to leave you with the theory today. We have a challenge for you, directly from the source material.
The challenge is this. Tomorrow, try to make your own 1-minute speech. Don't just plan it in your head. Actually do it.
Pick the topic, my weekend plan. Think about what you will do this weekend. Make 3 or 4 simple sentences. I will sleep late. I will eat pizza.
Say them out loud. Record it. Listen back. If you hate it, delete it and try again.
It will definitely feel a little uncomfortable the first time you hear your own voice in English. But the goal is to prove to yourself that you can actually do it.
You are an English speaker now.
Which brings us to a final thought for you to take away today. We often think that to speak a language, we have to know every single word in the thick dictionary.
We look at how many words there are and think, I can't learn all of that, so I can never speak.
But that is the wrong way to look at it entirely. Speaking English is not about stressing over the thousands of words you do not know.
Right. It is about taking the simple words you already know and using them to connect with someone else. It is about telling your story, not being a walking encyclopedia.
You already have the simple building blocks. You just need to start putting them together.
You don't need to build a mansion on the first day. A small, simple house is the perfect place to start.
I love that. Thank you so much for helping us break down this really powerful method today.
It was my pleasure.
And thank you to everyone listening. Good luck with your very first speech tomorrow. We will see you in the next deep dive. Goodbye.